Good evening. Welcome to this Monday evening teaching. I'm currently covering a new series of sessions on cultivating the 7 factors of awakening. And now we are touching on the first factor, cultivating effortless mindfulness. So I thought to start with a little bit of a review what I covered previously. Since I'm live streaming, so you're most welcome to put your comments or questions in the live chat, and I will attend to them. Yeah. So 7 factors of awakening is the classic list in the Buddhist teaching. To talk about, in a way, you can think of it as 7 conditions that are very conducive to have. For these are inner conditions. These are all different qualities of the mind. So if we are able to gather them, enhance them, strengthen these 7 qualities, they are conducive to awakening. Awakening, I have previously explained, or at least the way I think of awakening, just as we wake up from sleep, from our dreams or our nightmare. So awakening implies a kind of coming to consciousness, coming to awareness. Whereas previously the mind might be under the influence of the fogginess of sleep or the darkness of sleep. So awakening is that metaphor. I tend to think of it as a shift in perspective. We might be stuck in the old perspective, old frame of looking at the happenings in our life, looking at our relationship, looking at our struggle. So within that old frame, we have a particular way of seeing things, or more likely, things appear to us in a certain way, through that frame. And depends on how things appear to us. Of course, we respond to it in very specific way, kind of fixed way. We think about them in that way. We feel about them in a familiar way, and therefore we also react to it in by now very habituated manner. So that is the old frame. So awakening means literally shifting and discovering, reorientating our attention. Say, I can see things in the same situation, the same person, or similar kind of setting, but from a different angle, so a different perspective. Hopefully, it's a more liberating perspective, a perspective that sets us free from all fixated way of thinking, feeling, and reacting, so that we can come up with new way of responding to the situation, and we can allow ourselves to have new experiences, new feelings, new thoughts, new ideas, and hopefully that is then we become more creative, and we are more flexible. And we step out of the old box, and hopefully not into another box, into something much more open and spacious, into what in Buddhism we call liberation from suffering, causes of suffering. Yeah, so that's awakening. And the 7 factors start off with looking at mindfulness. Yeah. So I won't touch on the others. I will just come back to mindfulness, and we can almost imagine why mindfulness is conducive to awakening, or this you can call this reframing or reorientation, because after all, mindfulness really is about our attention, how we use our attention, how we pay attention. And so clearly, being attentive helps in this shifting of perspective, as opposed to being inattentive, partly because due to inattentiveness that we are stuck in our old frame, old way of seeing and reacting. So sometimes that requires us to, once again, even and especially for things that we are familiar, we take for granted, we have all sorts of, we already have established assumptions of it, that we need to relook at it. We need to pay close attention to it. We need to return our attention to it, so that we can maybe see things differently and hopefully see things clearer and maybe closer to reality. The typical phrase in Buddhism is to see things as they are. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but we can always try. And so that is why we talk about mindfulness. Last week, I present mindfulness based on a very modern definition. One thing good about being modern is in languages that we can relate to, or in the words and terms that we are familiar with. So according to this definition, mindfulness is a particular way, a very specific way of paying attention. So not just any willy-nilly way, but it's a very specific way in which we attend to things. And some of the three characteristics of such way of paying attention. One is it is intentional or purposeful, which simply means that no, it's not. Which are this kind of, there's a kind of clarity of intention as to what we are engaging with our attention. So that's intentional, purposeful. Second is it is in the present moment, what is happening here and now, attending to what is happening here and now. And, we'll talk more about this one because people thought quite often it's interpreted as then you must only stay here and now. You cannot be anything about the past or the future. In fact, sometimes by staying in the present moment, we have a tendency to reject thoughts because we feel that thoughts are still not in this moment. Thoughts are thoughts are abstract. Thoughts are thinking is involve ideas, not just about what we sense through our physical senses, but we can interpret it in different ways. But nonetheless, second characteristic has to do with the present moment, and the third characteristic is the attitude, to adopt a non-judgmental attitude. Non-judgmental attitude is really what it means is not to jump to conclusion, not to simply apply all conclusion or all judgments onto things. No. It's to invite us to newly investigate even things or people or situations that we are familiar with, and especially with such familiar situation, to see people that we are so close to and familiar with new pairs of eyes, to see them afresh, instead of based on our memories of the past or fixed conclusion that we have already drawn based on past experiences, is to take another look, basically, and not to jump to conclusion. That's what I mean by non-judgmental. So I hope that that is kind of one way of describing mindfulness. So previously, I emphasized that it's important to think of mindfulness not as something we need to work very hard to create, but to remind ourselves that it is something, a quality or an ability, if you like, that we already possess. We have, and we are capable of being mindful, as defined that way. And in fact, we have maybe consciously or even unconsciously have been applying mindfulness throughout our life in different occasions. Of course, we cannot say that we are always mindful. And I also personally think we don't have to be always mindful. There is a place for afternoon nap, so to speak, a siesta. And when you're napping, you're not mindful, right? You're just having a rest. Then there's also occasion where you don't need to be that mindful. You can let the mind, attention go, daydreaming. I don't know. You can say I'm mindful of my own fantasy, but it's not an occasion where I need to require myself to attend to what is happening here. In fact, my attention has gone far, far away from here and now. And in and of itself, there's nothing wrong with it. It's that is another ability we have with our mind, which is quite fantastic, actually. So there are occasions where we do need to be mindful. We need to return our attention to this moment. We need to attend to, maybe with intention, pay attention to maybe the person in front of you, and to listen, for example, without prejudgment, with a non-judgmental attitude. Right? So, and last week I also touched on a little bit of this effortless quality, which I want to emphasize, because personally, the way I first learned about and cultivate mindfulness is I don't know anything about mindfulness. So since I don't know anything about it, there's nothing deliberate in my practice. In this case, it's related to meditation. I don't know anything about it, so I can't deliberately or conscientiously or even effortfully cultivate mindfulness. It just happened. I just follow the instruction on the meditation. I make many mistakes along the way. And I find that over time, this quality of mindfulness become stronger. At least I notice more things. I'm able to be mindful of certain things which previously I'm unaware of or I didn't pay attention to. So mindfulness is strengthened, along the way as I explore meditation without me knowing anything. I mean, I might have heard of the word mindfulness, but I wasn't really, when I was playing around with meditation, really cultivating it. But nonetheless, I feel that it has grown and is reinforced through my practice of meditation. And so I thought that was not such a bad way to go. In fact, being too intentional in cultivating mindfulness, we tend to introduce a lot of stress, or we put a lot of stress on ourselves. We increase the tension around this whole issue of being mindful, and we become very deliberate. We lose a certain quality of spontaneity, and instead we apply too much willpower, we push too hard, we become too forceful in the way we approach the practice of mindfulness. And you might find that it has a negative side effect if we are too pushy. We tend to make it very stressful on ourselves in cultivating mindfulness, to the extent that we might feel bad, when we notice that we are once again we are not being mindful, which is actually a very natural thing. We do that all the time. Sometimes people feel very guilty, feel frustrated, ashamed. Very strong feelings and emotions are triggered in the cultivation of mindfulness. Not necessarily very pleasant, and so they tend to have this side effect of we start to associate mindfulness instead of something pleasant or helpful with all these unpleasant emotional reactions, which is, I think, quite unfortunate, isn't it? And I don't think this is what our intention is. So I think it's good to ease up a bit, trying to approach this whole idea of developing mindfulness with a slightly different attitude, maybe with different strategies, try different ways. So much so that we are able to be mindful, more natural, effortless, spontaneous way. That's my hope. So in order to do that, last week I introduced a metaphor to see whether the metaphor can reframe, change our way we approach cultivating mindfulness. I can't quite remember what I said. I think I used the image of a radar. It's not the most ideal image, but it's the one that I come up with at the moment. Yeah, I want to sort of de-emphasize this kind of over-intentional way of engaging our attention. Like imagine our attention is like a spotlight, one of those huge big spotlights, and we are busy and constantly turning it here and there, shining it on different aspects of our experience in order to be mindful of them. I mean, it's a lot of work. Can you imagine? Shine here, and then of course you get distracted, come back here, shine again, constantly, like you are constantly working and working and working. It's very tiring, isn't it? Even to describe it in this way. So maybe if we change the metaphor, maybe we can approach it a little bit with less effort, a bit more relaxing way. So instead of having this idea of having to direct the beam of our attention in this way, or try to fix it onto a particular subject or object of focus, let's open things up a bit. Let's think of just flooding the entire range of the field of our consciousness or awareness with this quality of mindfulness. Just like the image I have is a radar. Of course, the radar is still not the most ideal one, but anyway, within the range covered by the signal, the radar signal, it's like we don't do anything. We just sort of set up the field of the radar through whatever devices, of course, in the modern setting, and anything of interest that enter into this field of, I just call it the field of awareness. It just it will appear on that screen, the radar screen. Yeah. So it would appear within our awareness. It just happened. It just appeared. We don't have to do anything about it. We just something appear. All we need to do is to just allow it to appear within the space of our awareness, and it will be noticed, attend to, and then it will stay for a while and then disappear, and then something else will appear in the radar. Depending on how we tune the frequency, so to speak, we may pick up on different things. So, for example, this first meditation we're going to do, we're going to tune the frequency so that we pick up on different kinds of bodily sensations, because we are going to be mindful of our body. We're going to return the attention to attend to the body intentionally, purposefully, and we're going to attend to the body in this moment. Forget about what happened, how the body feels earlier on today. Don't worry about how our body will feel in the future. We want to tune in to be aware of how my body is feeling, what's happening in the different parts of my body in this moment, here and now. And hopefully we will remember to be non-judgmental towards what we find. We are not to be too quick in labeling this as good or bad, or labeling it as, I'm successful in my meditation. I'm so tight and tense, I must be a failure in my meditation because I should be relaxed by now. So those are judgments that we applied onto what we find in our mindfulness practice. Maybe we can hold off that for a while. It doesn't mean that we don't judge, we don't evaluate, but we don't have to be so quick. We can settle back and just, the analogy I use is to listen. Just to listen to and tune in. How is my body feeling today? What is happening here? How is the whole body overall? How does it feel? And specifically from each part of the body, what sort of signal is each part of the body sending out? The signal here is in terms of bodily sensation: tensing, relaxing, hardness, softness, heaviness, lightness, and any other kind of sensations: buzzing, tingling, warm, cold, pressure, and so on and so forth. Yeah, all these different bodily sensations, which give us, will help us to understand ourselves, understand the state of our body in this moment. And I hope you can do it in this way, one that hopefully, maybe after a while, might feel much more effortless. Okay, so let's do a practice of mindfulness of body. And as we cultivate mindfulness body, in whichever way we do, notice what sort of effect does it bring to us. Whether the effect is something pleasant or unpleasant, and then we can notice for ourselves and see whether we might think Is this helpful or is this not helpful? Is this something beneficial? Is there anything beneficial from paying attention to our own body? Or do you think there's anything harmful or not helpful to come out of it? So it's something we can evaluate subsequently from practicing mindfulness of the body. So I invite you to join me in meditation. So first we just find a suitable posture for our body to meditate for the next 20 to 25 minutes. You can sit on a chair like what I'm doing. You can sit on the floor if you like, on a cushion maybe, cross-legged. You can also lie down since nobody can see what you're doing. You can lie down on the floor on a yoga mat. Good to have some padding. You can lie on a firm bed or lounge chair or whichever. So take a few moments and adjust and find a suitable posture for your body. So I invite you to consider your attention, your awareness in this meditation as like a radar that permeates through space. And within the range of the radar, the range of your awareness or the field of your awareness, we are capable of becoming aware, of noticing, of attending to different sensations, bodily sensations. So as we settle our body in the posture, as we give it some time to adjust, to find its way into the posture, let us notice, and let us notice within the space of our awareness, sensations that come through from beneath us, sensations that come through or radiate from the points of contact, the touch points between body and seat, body and ground. Receive those signals, those sensations from the touch points. See if there are sensations of solidity, of firmness, of stability, signaling that our body is well supported in this posture, well balanced, which imply there is a sense of safety for our body in this posture. Becoming mindful and aware of the sense of support, balance, and safety helps to promote or encourage the body to slow down, to settle down, maybe to loosen up a bit, to unwind a bit. There's no need to be so hurried, no need to be so tense. And maybe in its own time, the body can relax, let go of some of those contractions and tightenings, and become more and more comfortable in this posture. So in this posture, feel free to close your eyes completely if you find that helpful. You're also most welcome to leave the eyes half open or fully open. Take care that both arms and hands are resting on some physical support so that you don't have to tense up the muscles of your shoulders unnecessarily to hold them up. So once again, making use of the metaphor of radar. So within this space and field of one's own awareness, we're going to allow sensations from different parts of the body to appear within this space of awareness, to manifest and to be known. So starting from the crown, the topmost part of our body, see if we can invite sensations from this part of the body to come forth, to appear within our awareness, our consciousness. Maybe they come in the form of tingling sensations, a slight feeling of pressure pressing down. Could come as a feeling of warmth or coolness, or maybe nothing at all. No signal, complete silence, so to speak, which is perfectly fine. Moving on, what about our face? As we tune in, almost as if we are listening, what are the sensations coming forth from our face? Maybe there are quite a bit of tensions here, as we tend to tense up the muscles of the forehead, muscles around the eyes, and those at the jaw. Noticing tension, is it possible for us to relax the muscles of the face, to welcome in a different feeling, one of softness, of ease, of relaxation in our own face? Next, we notice sensations coming through, appearing at the throat, the neck. And how about the shoulders? What sort of signal my shoulders might be sending today in the form of tension, tightness, in the form of uncomfortable feelings, or maybe comfortable feelings? Then moving on, we allow sensations from both arms to come into awareness. Noticing, attending to both arms. Sensations coming through from maybe the upper arms, from the shoulder joints. Simple sensations. We're not looking for anything spectacular. And quite mild sensations often. A slight feeling of tightness, tension, or could be a feeling of ease, of softness, of comfort. Allow sensations from both arms to appear in our awareness. Beyond the upper arms, sensations from the elbows, subtle sensations maybe, and sensations from the forearms, and sensations from both hands. Could be coldness, could be warmth, could be the feel of the touch between the two hands if they're together. And now that sensations from both arms are appearing clearly to you, maybe we can give permission, allow both arms to simply rest on whichever physical support they are on. And throughout the process, we will notice other things appearing in the field of our awareness, other things that we have a tendency to hold on to our attention or draw our attention to them, thoughts, fantasies, memories, could also be sounds from the surrounding, sensations from other parts of our body, feelings, and so on. And when we notice that we are distracted by other things, simply come back here and now, come back to the field or space of awareness, and allow sensations to appear. Sensations from the chest, so much so that we are aware of sensations associated with the breath, maybe, or we can sense the beating of our own heart, the tensions or lack of tension in the muscles of the chest, muscles of the back. Notice sensations coming through from the abdomen. This could be sensations from the skin, from the muscles, from deeper in, from the organs. Could be sensations from the front of the body or the back of the body, from the lower back. This could be pleasant sensations or maybe unpleasant sensations. Allowing sensations from the pelvis to appear in the space of awareness. Notice the weight of the pelvis resting on its physical support. Allow sensations from both legs to come into awareness, starting from the hips. Simple sensations as usual. And moving at our own pace, allowing sensations from the upper legs, from both knees, the lower legs, the shins, the calves, and finally from both feet. And now that we have systematically scanned through, allowing sensations from different parts of the body to come into awareness, see if we can rest our body in this posture, allow it to continue to settle down, to unwind, to release. We rest our mind as this field or space of awareness, noticing what is happening here and now. So coming back here and now in this present moment, noticing whatever sensations might be appearing within the space of our awareness, our consciousness. Simply allow attention to rest here and now. Not to be concerned if attention is distracted elsewhere. Simply invite it back to the present moment and continue with the meditation. Okay, so feel free to put your comments or feedback questions on the live chat if you have any. So mindfulness of body, at least here we have simply becoming aware in this instance of the bodily sensations in the different parts of the body. Usually, it's probably the one of the easiest way to start cultivating mindfulness is to start with mindfulness of the body. In this case, of the bodily sensations. Which part of the body feel tight and tense? Which part feel relaxed? Which part of the body may feel light? Another part may feel heavy, and so on and so forth. For good reason why we very common find that we start learning about mindfulness, practicing mindfulness, starting with mindfulness of the body, because the body is probably very obvious. It's constantly available. Once we pay attention to it, and another thing would be the benefits of cultivating mindfulness of body, at least in this way, in such a context like this, is I think of it as it helps to connect our mind to our body, connect our attention back into the system, so that we notice, oh, why is this so tight? Oh, this feels very nice. And this reconnection of so-called body and mind, although it's never really broken, but quite often because of our lifestyle or because of what's happening, we don't pay so much attention to our body. It's not uncommon for people to be almost disconnected with the body. The mind is disconnected from the body. We are not aware of tiredness, sleepiness. We are unaware of maybe even hunger or thirst. We are unaware of how the body is doing from one moment to another, because our attention is so preoccupied, quite often with thinking about something, or whatever it is we are doing. And this might be true for an extended period of time. This disconnection between body and mind also interfere with the self-regulation of the body. It sort of allow all the tensions due to our stress, whatever it is we are preoccupied with, to persist in our body, and which is very unpleasant or uncomfortable. So with mindfulness of the body, with this reconnection of body and mind, it promotes a kind of self-regulation, self-adjustment. I like to think of it, and I think that's what happened in my body. Suddenly realized that, oh, nothing terribly stressful here, no, nothing dangerous here. Maybe I don't need to work so hard. I don't have to contract so many muscles. I don't have to be so tense, so tight. And then you can let them go, start to release them. Yeah. And so that's one thing. It helps to promote the regulation of our body, the release of tension, usually tension due to stress and strain, and as a result of that release, we feel so much more comfortable, so much more at ease and relaxed, which are wonderful to experience. Yeah. So there are advantages or benefits that come from cultivating mindfulness of bodily sensations. And this is especially significant in a meditation setting, because most of the time we might just sit down or whatever and meditate, and immediately focusing on whatever it is the object of meditation or the topic of meditation. You may find that in that case, without attending to the body, without being mindful of the body, a lot of all this tension, which also corresponds to agitation in the mind, starts to interfere with our meditation. Whereas if you were to spend some time at the beginning of each meditation, return our attention to the body, cultivate mindfulness of body. Can't guarantee we let go of all tensions. We feel we are always relaxed, always comfortable, but it does help because it helps the body to, at least to some extent, release some of the tension of the body to settle down into the meditation posture, which greatly benefit our meditative experience. Mindfulness of the body can also be practiced in different ways. And here I want to introduce a different way of defining mindfulness. And you may find that it sounds completely different, but opposite to the previous definition that I gave. So I think it's good to explore a bit two different definitions of mindfulness, and maybe think a little bit which one is more accurate for you. This other definition comes from a classic Buddhist text on describing the different states of mind, the different functions of mind, or sometimes we call them mental factors. Mindfulness is one of those mental factors. And in this definition, mindfulness is defined as the non-forgetfulness of mind. Basically, the mind remembers. The mind does not forget a familiar object. Non-forgetfulness of mind in relation to a familiar object. It's that simple. And the main function, of course, of this factor, this mental quality, is to prevent distraction. Distraction is where the mind and attention is scattered, jumping here and there, noticing this, noticing that, or constantly being drawn away from or absorbed in something other than what you want to focus on. So, and this definition means also are supposed to apply to familiar objects. I like to, one easy way to understand this definition is really mindfulness is about bringing to the foreground of our awareness, our attention, whatever it is we want to attend to. So instead of allowing things to recede into the background, we bring it to the foreground of our attention. What means we really notice it, we are really attending to it. And also as a function of helping it to keep it in the range of the radar, so to speak, so that it is continuously being noticed, being attended to, being listened to, so to speak. Yeah, it doesn't sort of just appear and disappear. And this tends to happen more likely with familiar objects. And after all, if it sits in the front seat, so to speak, of our awareness, sit on the front or right at center stage of our awareness, we get to know it well, we become familiar with it, and we are not distracted from it to other stuff. So this way of defining mindfulness is probably more kind of applicable in meditation setting, a certain kind of meditative setting. Like, for example, mindfulness of the breath. If I practice meditation called mindfulness of the breath, I'm allowing the breath sensations, could be around sensations around the nostrils, or sensations at the chest, or the sensation of the breath at the abdomen. Not only to allow these sensations to appear in awareness, but appear at the prime locations, right at the foreground, so that I'm really noticing those sensations of the breath. I notice that it's an in breath, it's out breath, and also becoming familiar with these objects, the breath sensations, and to the extent that I'm not distracted away from it. I'm able to just allow my attention to engage with it without distraction. So this is another way of understanding mindfulness. And this way of understanding mindfulness, you can see it as allowed me to really get to know whatever it is that's appearing or that comes into my awareness. I not only know it in a very rough, general way, but also get to know it intimately, get to know the specifics, details of this experience. Okay, so you'll find this like with the breath. At first when we start meditating on the breath, we just notice the in breath, out, in, out. And after a while, we notice, there is actually a pause between the in breath, after the in breath, and there's also a pause after the out breath. And then we start to notice all the fine details of the breath sensations itself. We notice breath sensations is not only confined to the nostrils or these major areas, but we can find breath sensations, in fact, in all parts of the body. So those are the details that we get to notice. Because the breath is a very kind of innocent object of attention. Mindfulness can be attended to later on to, like for example, we notice how we tense up our body on certain situation. When we become really familiar with those tensions. In fact, I'm very familiar with how my body reacts. In certain situations, when I'm nervous, it will react in a certain way. When I'm angry, it will react in another way. It actually heats up when I get really upset and angry. Yeah. Or when I feel depressed and down, the body sensations also shift and change. And over time, when we become very familiar with that pattern, I can almost just by it happening, by the shift in the body sensations, it alerts me to the shift in the state of my mind. It alerts me to the different kind of feelings or emotions are influencing my experience. Right? So that is, and that's also one reason why we cultivate mindfulness, especially in the modern setting. Not only does it help us to, of course, help us to unwind, to release those stress reactions, but also signal to us when we become stressed. Signal to us that I'm reacting or overreacting sometimes. Yeah. And in the setting of in the spiritual setting, mindfulness allows us to know or penetrate deeper into the details of our experience. So much so that we get to see things clearer. We notice things that we don't notice previously. We get to know things better. And hopefully we get to see things as they really are, to overcome any misunderstanding, any wrong assumptions that we may have, or wrong belief, unhelpful belief, and really get to know things well so that we can respond to them appropriately. So one form of mindfulness of body utilizes in this way to help us to get to know our body better. But not so much better, but maybe remind us of things that we already know, but we tend to forget, we tend to get distracted. So to bring that back to the foreground of our attention and awareness, so that we keep it in mind. And that would affect how we relate to the body, affect our relationship with our body. So this next meditation is a meditation of mindfulness of body, but asking us to be mindful of the different parts of our body. So traditionally, there are, I think, the different lists. One is 31 parts of the body, but today we're just going to look at, we just sort of summarize it into 3 different parts. So this is also a modern way of doing this practice, which I find quite interesting. This kind of mindfulness of body meditation is not so commonly taught this day anymore, at least not in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. But I find it quite helpful. So the three parts that we're going to look at starts from the outside, so the skin, then go inwards to the flesh. So flesh includes, the muscles and tendons and ligaments and all the various organs and soft tissues. And the last part would be the bones, the skeleton. Now, people always think that this way of meditating on mindfulness of body is to meditate on repulsiveness, or trying to cultivate disgust, a sense of disgust. But that's not how I see this practice. This practice is really about coming back to be in touch with our body as it really is. We all have skin, flesh, and bones, and so that we get to see as it is. Because with our body, we have so many different projections and so many different expectations and ideas, a lot of which is coming from outside, external. Of course, these days, I think we are quite aware of how some people have a lot of issues with body image, how they see their body, too fat, too thin, too heavy, too light. See ourselves as being ugly, or beautiful, all to do with our body. We are quite obsessed with our body, so to speak. So mindfulness of body in this way is just to get back to the basics, to see if we can be aware of our body as it is, as our body. That on the very outside we have what we call skin, and deeper in we are just made up of. Beyond the skin will be the fleshy part of ourselves. And right inside, we have the support structure, the skeleton. And to relate to our body just as it is, not trying to beautify it, but also not trying to make it look ugly or disgusting. But try to establish a more equanimous and probably a more healthy relationship with our body as it is. And this kind of mindfulness practice involve, of course, sensing, through our body sense. Of course, that's one aspect. The sensation is one aspect of the things that we are aware of. But we can also make use of, of course, you can look at the body, with arguments through our senses. But usually, you rely on the body sense, rely on, and we can bring in images and ideas that we have, that we know of ourselves, of our body. And also it invite us to notice all these different parts of it, allow them into our awareness, be it in terms of sensations, in terms of ideas, in terms of memories, so that we are once again in touch with the different aspects of our own body. And by doing so, hopefully we can kind of shift our understanding of body, bring it something more aligned with reality and away from a lot of the fantasy and so on. And one of the things we might notice, or at least I notice, is I'm aging, right? I'm aging, and I notice the aches and pains in my body. I notice the change in my own body, how I feel about my body, my energy level, my sense of tiredness, or whether I feel active or not. Those feelings, those sensations shift and change, and I'm aware of that change. If I pay attention, I notice things, and a lot of it has to do. In my case, I notice the change in terms of aging. What I used to find very easy to do, now I notice I need more effort to do it. And also, what used to be like I feel very comfortable, now I've noticed that as age we have more aches and pains and so on and so forth. So to tune into the reality of our body in this moment, instead of relying on our memories, our fantasies, our projections, help us to just to touch base with our body as it is, and hopefully help us to dispel a lot of our misconceptions, and also help us to get in touch with the body. So often we operate from fixed ideas in our mind. Or I should be able to do this. I should not have no problem. This is how I should feel. Why so many should? Just come back and notice: is that how I'm feeling? Is that how I'm functioning? Is that how much energy I feel? Am I tired or am I not tired? All I need to do is to tune in, to be aware, instead of relying on my ideas in my mind. Sometimes those ideas are accurate, and sometimes those ideas are way off from reality. Let's say tiredness. It is possible for us to just keep working and working. We have this idea in our mind that I used to be able to work so much, and now I should be able to do it. But whether I can or I cannot, and what sort of impact it has on me, we can just find out. But if we tune in to the body, if we listen to the body, and then we can make adjustments. So I'm going to invite you to do this guided meditation on the different parts of the body, returning mindfulness to contact and to notice the different parts of the body, and you involve noticing and paying attention to the sensations here and now. But also, I'm asking you to invoke images, memories, ideas that we have or that we know about our body. And we're just going to go through in the 3 levels of the body, starting from the outermost. And as we do that, you may find you have other thoughts may come up, other ideas and associations may surface. Take note of that. Take note of how we feel about our skin. Take note of what we notice or pay special attention to, we tend to, or what we tend to ignore or not willing to pay attention to, where we have attachment and where we have aversion. And see if we can do it without judgment. Just to not only get to know our body, but also get to know how we tend to relate to the body, how some of the different expectations or ideas we hold about our own body. So I hope that makes some sense. So let's give it a try and see if we can return or becoming aware of our body in this different way, allowing the different parts of our body to come into the foreground of our attention and awareness, so that we get to know them, we get to become familiar with them. Okay, so take a few moments, adjust our body, try to find a suitable posture for meditation. Take care that the meditation posture you have adopted, in that posture, that your back, your spine is at ease and comfortable. Allow it to be upright if we are sitting, and straight if we are lying down on our back. Take care that we are not introducing additional strain or tension or discomfort into the region of the neck or the lower back due to our meditation posture. Feel free to close your eyes completely in this meditation if you like, or leave them open or half open. Take a few moments, allow the body to become familiar with the posture, to adjust accordingly. Allow our body once again to feel well supported in this posture, so that we can facilitate a natural process of loosening up, of unwinding, allowing the body to release some of the unnecessary tightness and tensions. And given time, allow it to settle down comfortably into the posture. So just as before, using the metaphor of the radar, almost as if we are plugging in once again to the field of awareness, the space of our awareness, within which we allow different objects to come into that awareness, to be noticed, to be attended to. And this time we're going to start with the outermost layer of our body. We'll start and invite the skin to come into awareness. The skin really is an organ that covers the entirety of our body. And of course, on the surface of the skin, we have all these receptors. We notice different sensations, different touch sensations at the different parts of our body. To see if we can tune into the sensations at the skin level of our body. Notice the touch of the fabric at the different parts of the body at the skin level. Notice the sensations of pressure, the sensations of warmth or coolness at the skin. Maybe you notice the touch of air as the breath flows in and out of the body at the nostrils. And as we bring the skin level of the body to the foreground of our awareness, we can supplement those touch sensations with our previous understanding and knowledge of the skin. For example, become aware of the hairs, the head hairs, the nails, the different features of our skin that we know so well. See if we can regard the skin as the skin. Notice the different characteristics of our skin. Maybe there are aspects that we like, that we are proud of, aspects that we dislike, we feel aversion towards. Notice areas which might be associated with pleasant, comfortable feelings. Maybe areas of skin that we associate with unpleasantness, with pain and discomfort. And let's scan the skin level of our body, starting from the crown, allowing the different parts of the body to come into awareness at the skin level, starting from the crown, the hair, the different features, moving downwards to the face, the sides of the head, the back of the head. And feel free to do this at your own speed. You don't have to follow my pacing. Bring downwards, notice, allow into awareness the features of the skin at the neck, at the throat, sensations at the skin level. Further down to the shoulders, Feel the weight of the clothes on the skin, down the arms. Notice warmth or coolness. Sensations from the torso, front and back. Down to the lower half of the body, pelvis, the legs, all the way to the feet. What lies beneath the skin is what we can call the flesh, the muscles, the tendons, the ligaments, the various organs and tissues which are vital to our survival. Let us allow them to come into awareness, either in terms of sensations or in terms of images, ideas, memories. So once again, starting at the crown, allow sensations to come into awareness from the muscle layers, from the layers of organs and tissues. Maybe allow the brain, images of the brain to come to mind, sensations of the muscles of the face, as we move at our own pace. You may find that images and ideas and memories, experiences will come to you spontaneously, automatically. And if they are relevant, let them in. Let them become a part of your meditation on mindfulness of the body. Moving down from the head into the neck, the throat, the sensations from the muscle, the flesh layer of this part of your body to come into awareness. Moving further down, allow muscles at the shoulders, front, the back, the top of the shoulders. Notice areas of tension here, relaxation, acknowledge pleasant feelings or unpleasant feelings when they appear in awareness. Moving down, allowing both arms and hands to come into awareness. Sensations from the muscles, the tendons, the ligaments, this part of the body. How important it is and how vital it is for us to be able to move our arms and hands, to use them freely, easily. Maybe there are occasions when we injured our arms, we sprain, we twist, and how inconvenient it is. how wonderful it is for us when the body is functioning well, it's healthy, it's free from pain. Allow the torso to come into awareness, the muscles at the front of the body, muscles at the back of the body, the various organs, our lungs, our heart. How wonderful it is when all these organs are functioning well and healthy. How vital it is, how vital they are to our survival, our sense of well-being, physical well-being, mental well-being. Moving down, appreciate the functions of our various organs in the abdomen, the liver, digestive system, kidneys. Appreciate how wonderful it is when our body is healthy, free of pain, functioning well, we have energy, we are free of worry and anxiety over our health, over our life. And how important it is to rejoice and to feel gratitude of having a healthy body, and to acknowledge also of pain, of discomfort, from illness, from injury, limitations. To acknowledge and become aware also, maybe of the different ideas, different feelings that we may hold or we may have in relation to all the different parts of the body. Let our attention move downwards, or let the lower half of our body come into awareness. The pelvis, sensations in both legs, at the level of the muscles, the tendons, the ligaments, the various organs here at the pelvis. Notice not only the sensations, but all the various images and associations we may have with this part of our body. Acknowledge pleasant feelings as well as unpleasant feelings. And see if we can come to know our body as it is, away from the various projections, fixed ideas, and images we may hold about our own body. Coming back here and now to our body, we're going to perform the last scan of the body, the deepest physical layer of the body, at the level of the skeleton, of the bones, of the joints. 。  . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . . . . . . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 。 . 。 . 。 。 。 . 。 。 . 。 。 . 。
Effortless. 。 . 。 .
。 the solid part of the body, the weight-bearing part of our body. See if we can sense the bone, feel the weight, the support provided by our skeleton, and also allow into our awareness different images, visual images we may have, these different parts of the skeleton, not to invoke any negative feelings, but simply for us to acknowledge and be aware of this part of the body, to extend a sense of care and concern and appreciation to our skeleton, to the bones, to their function, to appreciate them for functioning well, so that we take care of them. So at your own pace, scanning from the crown once again, see if you can both sense the various bone structures in the different parts of the head, the skull, the jaw, and visual images may come to mind, images of the skeletons and so on and so forth. Let them in, make them a part of your meditation to enhance our mindful awareness of this part of our body. Moving down to the neck, sense the spine, the vertebral column in this part of the body, allowing it to come into awareness. Moving at your own pace. Next will be the shoulders. Not to worry if you don't know precisely the image or the names. Simply allow sensations from this part of the body to come into awareness. Sensations from deep within the body, from the skeleton, from the bones. From the shoulder joints and downwards, allow the arms to come into awareness, all the way down to the hands, the fingers. Sense the bones in this part of your body. Coming back to the body, to the chest, sense the ribs, the chest cavity, sense the back, the upper back, the middle back, and the lower back, your entire vertebral column at the back. Down into your pelvis, your tailbone, resting on your seat, the floor, sense the weight of your skeleton. And then down both legs, starting from the hips to the knees, all the way down into the feet. So rest your attention here with your body Allow the different sensations, the different images to appear within your awareness. And see if you can appreciate your own body as it is, the level of the skin, the flesh, and the bones. And to notice the different feelings we hold towards our own body, different ideas, images we may hold, and to see our body as it is. And we conclude by dedicating that may anything good or positive come out of this mindfulness of the body. We dedicate it towards taking good care of our own body, dedicate towards health and physical well-being of ourselves. That we will pay mindful attention to our own body in the future to stay connected with various bodily sensations in a way that would conducive to our happiness. Okay, it's a little bit of an unusual meditation, I have to say. I do this meditation or different variation of it on my own, but it's not one that I tend to guide because different people react very differently to this meditation. But sometimes it's good to try something different and notice how what we find individually. We may have different views about it, and we may have different reaction about it. But so without going too much into it, I'll pick up on this next week. But this is also another way in which we can cultivate mindfulness of body. It's very different from how maybe what we are familiar with, but there is also there are different benefits to come out of this way of cultivating mindfulness of the body. It helps to really see our body, in terms of these 3 layers or 3 levels. At least for me, I think it really helps to clarify by contrast a lot of the images, ideas that we hold consciously or subconsciously about our own body. Okay, so that's all I have for this session this week. I wish you have a good week ahead and hope to see you back here next Monday. Have a good evening or good night. Thank you.